who really enjoyed many and Charmaine, who is married to look after her husband with a rare form of dementia called primary progressive non-interfasia, language problem, is more really a friend of mine, and same, they've all become very close friends of mine, Kate, in Adelaide, and Norman, and in the thing is, she said the other day on Twitter she didn't know whether she was coming or going, and she really wanted to be here today, and I would really, I would like us to feel part of it, really. And so I'll get through it. There's quite a lot to go through, but hopefully I'll do some of it justice. I won't rush through it. In other words, I'll just simply bin things that are uninteresting or doesn't even mention us. So bear with me. So I've done apologies for people for making you come here, really, because it's no mean feat to made it. And I know most of you from Twitter, which has been a very liberating experience for many people who don't get much time off and find a release through Twitter. I'll be coming on to that later. So the point of saying that is, if you want to, and I'm not going to be paternalistic about this, for you to have your name badge with your tweet name or whatever, but it doesn't matter because you all know each other anyway. This timetable is really on to pot, but in a nutshell, there's two presentations with the coffee break in between. First bit is on this uber nebulous concept of what is living well with dementia, and the second bit is possible ways of living well with dementia. In theory, it really should be called living better with dementia. I have no intention of sanitizing what dementia is, or each person's experience is by definition different. As it happens, Living Well with Dementia was the name of a document published on the 3rd of February 2009, which is actually an English dementia policy about to be renewed as the 5 years are up. And so I stole the title of them. But it happens to be a narrative which to explore better, because not much of it actually appears in things like the media, not due to the media's role, but partly due to people like me not doing a very good job of explaining it. No, on a happy note, that this evening you're invited to please only have a 10% discount, which is quite a big deal for me anyway. So I'm going to, sorry to separate on this picture of Greece. Quite quickly. Yes, I understand the keyboard is a bit hard to get, so I'll try not to overpress it. The first thing I want to mention is they need to raise awareness of dementias and helped enormously by the fact that people like Beth, who hope will be known to you, certainly known to many of us, who are real proud to see Beth at the GA Summit, asked a very eloquent, important question on how we assess psychological interventions on the approach to dementia. Really is really happy you're here, Beth. Thank you very much. And various groups are raising awareness in different ways. Norman and his group gone global with Purple Angels, And Jane Moore, a friend of mine on Facebook, I met her, and Julie Line, people, ambassadors, Jane Moore and Lynette, and people designed the Purple Angel motif, raising awareness around the world. And that's the dementia strategy. And the point about this was it was meant to put people first, but I think that's common for government policy, normal forms and shades. This is about maintaining quality in the services for people with dementia and thinking about things which might be important to people with dementia. It's about to come to an end. Norman Lamb says he's about to assess it somehow, and after he looks at the lessons learned, then presumably this couple of the next will reincarnate it in some form, taking on board what has happened recently. Alzheimer's Brace is a charity I do want to mention, prominent in the southwest of England and South Wales. That's an ambassador, and James did a series of films for them, which I'll come to here. These were the films from last week, but James has some series of films down in Bristol, with the University of Bristol, and it was brilliant because it's a way of starting a dialogue with people. Academics were invited to the University of Bristol. Many people were invited. Thanks, James, for coming. And I happened to be at a viewing of James's film about his mum, which is taught me a lot anyway. Beth, I don't want to make Beth blush. There you go. And that is Jade. I can't overstate it. The importance of Jade was very important, and it was very important Beth was there. I would, and Beth, in the best traditions of the Oscars, doesn't know I'm doing this, but if I may, Beth, can I play your video from GA, please?
I've watched it so many times.
Yeah. But there'll be a side delay while I fiddle with the settings, so it can...
My dad had vascular dementia for 19 years. It began when I was around 12 years old. He went 10 years without a diagnosis and then spent 9 years in 3 different care homes. He passed away in April 2012, aged 85. There was no further education for me. University was totally out of the question, and no career really at all. I just thought I wanted to spend the time with my dad. Everything else can come later. It's more important that I spend the time with him, and I'm so glad I did. There was a lot less awareness of dementia then than there is now. And as a result of that, we just simply did not realise, it sounds incredibly naive, but we just simply did not realise that Dad was actually developing dementia. We would take him to coffee shops, and for the last 4 years of his life he had a swallowing problem, so we had to help him with his eating and drinking, and particularly we would have to spoon things into his mouth. And you will get looks from people in public places, because obviously they're not used to seeing something like that. But at the same time, that wasn't going to put me off taking my dad out, because I felt that social interaction was actually really good for him and he enjoyed it. So it was other people's attitudes that needed to change. What I would have loved was to have had a dad who I could actually have gone to and said, Dad, this has happened, he's done this, he's done that. And then for Dad to have said to me, oh yeah, well, you know, I knew it was never good enough for you anyway. And it was never like that. I never had that relationship with my dad in those crucial years. I believe that he wanted to stay with us, and he wanted to be a father and a husband, but ultimately, you know, dementia just took over his life, and it's robbed him of opportunities that he obviously now he will never have. And I would have him back in a heartbeat. Dementia and everything what it brings, I would have my dad back because he was still my dad. He had dementia, but he was my dad, and you only get one dad.
En route to Beth, I flashed up a paper of mine on dementia. It's not some weird sort of subliminal advertising for research, but the point is, Beth's an ambassador for Brace, and one of the aims of Brace is to use what we know. They fund a lot of research from fundraisers, events, meetings, and they're brilliant because they use the money. They have a board of scientific people think about how to best use their money to look for treatments and things that will improve care of dementia. And James is obviously involved with Brace. So my paper, by the way, was on early diagnosis of dementia, and there's an issue here which I would like to touch on, as it is in my book in chapter 5. In Beth's case, Beth, please do correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 19 years of your father with dementia, of which maybe 10 of which might not have received a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Now, that, by anyone's standards, look, I've sort of been involved, and many of us have, in this issue about prompt diagnosis rates, etc. 10 years is too long. And it's be a common theme of mine later. Beth, father, again, correct me if I'm wrong, was in 3 care homes, and there was some variation in what actually happened. And I recommend, if you can get a chance, go to Beth's blog, a D4 Dementia blog, set up in May 2012. And I strongly would like you to read it when you can, because there's a lot you can't read the medical textbooks, not irritating medics. But I suggest that Beth's blog is a good port of call for that, if I may suggest. Nice. Sort of doing an Owen Paterson, the goalpost suddenly moved while I was writing the book, like the badgers. So the nice, these are the quality statements. There are 10 of them, and they are in QS30 of the supporting people to live well with dementia. And as the book had, it was in process sort of, announced the producers, I sort of wove some of the issues of NICE into my book, and if you follow my book, you see these statements come up. And we had the Dementia Challenge, 3 groups research, communities and care. We also had G8 dementia. I think this covered a lot. I still haven't got my head around what exactly it did cover. I wrote a blog post this morning about, not to sort of whip up another conspiracy theory, but PT had meetings with the Obama government about open data sharing, and BT picked up, literally, pun, to pitch at G8 dementia, and open data sharing, collaboration, personalized medicine was an element of G8, not the only element. But I'm just saying this is a work in progress, and I did this book post this morning, and as usual, it's just a set up for discussion. This man but certainly the one on the left will be familiar to you. The irony was Norman spent 1 hour giving a talk on wandering and talking about GPS tracking. And actually, no, I got lost on the way to the lift to Norman which was a ridiculous thing. But Norman, character, is a very polite man if you ever meet him. So Shibley, you all get lost. After he'd given this talk on GPS trackers. Anyway, Norman's story is interesting. You think about how diagnosis get missed was one for the medical profession, not me. But in Norman's case, he set off his fire alarm he set fire to his kitchen nearly 3 times. And you would have thought that somebody would have picked up on this on Norman's behalf. Anyway, Norman and Elaine are delightful. His grandmother and father had some sort of history of dementia. Norman was diagnosed a few years ago. He's a friend of mine. He and Beth Britton of Oscars. He can't be here today. In fact, it's a long way from Torbay. But he can be here through this dodgy link, which I hope will work. There'll be a bit of a delay before you see Norman as I readjust the window.
Hi guys, hi Shibs, how you doing? I'm sorry I can't do it today. A number of reasons. One, logistics. 2, the weather, because of the awful floods we're having down here. And 3, quite obviously my illness and travelling so far. Notice I put the illness third, because it goes at the back of the list as far as I'm concerned. I just want to say thank you so much for asking me to do this short video, and I wish you all the best in the world. I'd like to say hi to all the guys that's down there. I know a few of you. I've never actually met a few of you in person, and I'm hoping that I will do in the near future. It's going to be a wonderful day for you all, and I just love the title, what says, Living Well with Dementia. How can it fail? Because we're turning the tide on this disease now. People aren't suffering from this disease anymore. As far as a lot of people are concerned, the stigma is being reduced hand over fist, day in, day out, week in, week out, because of all the wonderful work that you guys are doing. And the book Living Well with Dementia just encapsulates that change. And it just shows that people's attitude is changing. So, Shibley, thank you so much for helping that change. And thank you all for attending through all today. I hope to meet you all soon. And I'm really jealous I can't be there, but I just love meeting you the other week in London. And I hope we meet again soon, Shiz. Alright, take care for now. Bye.
Yes, don't worry, this presentation does get cheesier. I'm going to try and, like a ward round, be a fast on the gate, hurry it up a bit, not the visco. Boring you, I hope. As I return to Norman in those slides, may I refer you in the interim to Jill's blog, Hugh Shoes. And Jill is there. Thanks, Jill, for coming. Chris is also a friend of mine who claims he's enjoying my book too, with early onset dementia. He's finding it helpful. Apparently, he's reading it as we speak. Of course, the book is not really coffee material, coffee table material. It's rather posh coffee table you might see in Islington or somewhere. John Hodges was my PhD supervisor, known to some people in the room. Thanks to John, African Manes, who was in my research lab at Cambridge, same time I did my PhD. He's in fact Professor of Neurology in Buenos Aires and Vice Chair of the World Federation of Neurology Research Group. So one of us has done really well, and Sally, of course, and I miss Sally today. Please look at the book, if only for the wonderful stuff in the book, but also Sally's forward. I'm going to try this approach. That's the front cover. And can I point out that thing in the top right-hand corner, which is Charmaine's poppy? Very important. Okay? It's almonds and ruse. And this makes me happy, it's even in a university library. It's well known my views on the establishment, but please, it's in a university library, which gives me enormous pride. There's John, who's gone back to Cambridge, in fact, and was in Sydney, Australia, is an expert in the frontotemporal dementias, especially behavioral frontotemporal dementia, and primary progressive non-fluent aphasia. In fact, a paper of his in Brain was published yesterday.